So first of all, can anybody tell me what this area that I'm clicking on is called? This single element, a cell. Okay? So this is a cell, and each cell has an address. What is the address of this cell right here? D4. How did you all find that? Intersecting. You also can look up here. Okay? So here's D4. So we know this cell has an address of D as in David and 4. Now here's the interesting thing. I'm going to challenge you all right off the bat. The data in Excel does not matter. That's what I need you to understand. That's the key to understanding what we call the language of Microsoft Excel. It doesn't matter if in D4 I have a value of 10 or I have a value of 10 million. The numbers don't matter. That's what tends to confuse people. Okay? So I'm going to show us something new that I'm trying to get through to people. Is I'm going to show you all what Excel looks like. We're looking at Excel straight on, right? Word, Excel, PowerPoint all look this way. Okay? We're going to look at it from the side. So as we look from Excel from the side, normally we would look at Excel we would look at Excel this way, okay? So when we're looking at the screen right now, we're looking at it from this direction, looking down on it, okay? But now I'm going to slice it. This will make sense, I think, I hope, okay? So the first part of Excel that we look at is the front view. This is where we see the values, okay, or the numbers. But remember I said the numbers don't matter. What we really want to focus on is what's going on behind the scenes. Now, where do we see, what's the button in Word that tells us the behind the scenes information? The backwards P would be part of it. That's the formatting, right? So that's what's going on sort of behind the scenes. But also the File tab. Because the File tab in Word gives us the properties of the document. Okay? However, in Excel, we're adding 3 layers. So this is the properties. This is the File tab. Okay? Properties. Oh, I should leave that. That's kind of funny. So this is the File tab. These are the numbers that we see on the screen. So this is what we're looking at here. Okay? That's the numbers. But remember I said the numbers don't matter. What we really want to understand is what's going on behind the scenes. And what's going on behind the scenes are our formulas and functions. That's what we're worried about. Okay? And in our formulas and functions, we never use values. If we don't use values, what do we use? What do we reference? But not cell numbers, because numbers tend to be confusing. The cell address. That's the key. This is what confuses people. Because when we do math today, I'm going to show you the wrong way to utilize Excel. Okay? I'm going to just do it right here. I have these values. 1, 2, 3, and 4. In math, forget Excel. If I said to you, I want you to come up to the front of the board and put these values on the board and add them up for me, what would you write on the board? We're going to do it here in Excel. But what would you write on the board? What would you write in this section? 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. Now here I'm using what? I'm using math, yes. I'm using the values, right? But remember I said the numbers don't matter, the values don't matter. I can have anything in these cells that I want to add up. If we understand this, Excel becomes really easy. If we don't and we struggle with this, Excel is very difficult. So here's the thing. If I hit enter on this, did it add them up? No. Normally in math we would then say equals, anybody want to do the math for me? Thank you. Equals 10. Right? And if I do that, well, it's not adding these cells up for me. So what I can do is I can come in here and utilize the values. So remember, I'm showing you the wrong way to do it. And I'm going to associate a word with this here in a minute. Okay? So in Excel, anytime we want to do a calculation, whether it be a function or a formula, we start with the what? The equal sign. Now, we can do it this way. Equals 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. And if we do that and hit the enter key, we get a value. Now, red tends to indicate what? Bad? Yeah. No good? Okay. So with this, we refer to this as a static formula. And static, in my book, equals bad. We never want to do a static formula in Excel. Okay. Now I show you this because this is how you do math, regular math. You do static. But the cool thing with Excel is that if we do dynamic formulas and functions, then I can change the values, because the values don't matter, and really get answers to questions. Okay? I can query hundreds and thousands of rows of data and ask questions like, of the total number of voters in Deschutes County, what percentage voted? What percentage voted yes? What percentage voted no? What percentage abstained from voting on this particular issue? Is that important data to know? Yeah.
So whenever you're going to each of the cells, can you just use the cell address itself for the equation instead of using the numbers that are there?
Thank you for asking. Perfect. You're sticking to the script. Because yes, you can. If the numbers don't matter, how do I reference this cell in a formula without referencing the static value of 1?
So it'd just be B11 plus
B11.
C11.
Right.
Okay.
So we'll go down and do that. So we're going to do this dynamically. Okay. So dynamically, going to start with the equal sign. Okay. Now this might be a little bit basic for a lot of you. Just stick around. It gets better. Okay. Some of you that are using Excel are bored. I've taught this for a decade the same way. Okay. A little bored right now. But it gets cool. I swear. I promise. So you said instead of referencing, now we're going to work down here. Okay. So instead of referencing the number 1, which is the static value, I'm going to reference what? So A12, sorry, not A12, B12. B12 plus C12 plus D12 plus E12. Now, you really should never get a formula wrong when you're given a graphical representation of what you're saying you want to add up. So let's talk about this for a minute. You've now graduated. You're a manager. You're managing 12 people. Each person makes X amount of money. And your boss comes to you and says, okay, time to do the budget for next year. How many additional people do you need? Here's what we're estimated to do in production next year. How many more people do you need? What is going to be the cost of these people? What is going to be their hourly cost? What is going to be their cost with benefits? Here's how much we pay for an employee. Here's what we're expecting their benefits to increase every year, right? Because insurance charges go up every year. Supposedly, the college pays $1,200 a month for me to have the health care benefits that I get here. That's what the college pays. And then I pay in addition to get more coverage, right? So you do all this in Excel, and you're wrong. You give your boss the wrong number. Even worse, you didn't give a number that was too high, you gave a number that was too low. What happens when the boss figures out, I now need to somehow come up with $80,000 more for 2 employees that you didn't calculate correctly in order to produce whatever it is we produce and meet our goals for the year? Could you be fired? You definitely could be. So what's the value of a spreadsheet with one number that's incorrect or one formula that's incorrect? It's worthless. As we do this, if I give you a bunch of investments and I tell you this is how much each stock was worth when I bought it, and here's what it's worth now, and you mix up those numbers, and you tell me I'm losing money on a stock that I'm making money on, am I going to trust you to manage my investments? No. The same thing can apply to your budget. You mess up on a number, you're at the end of the month going, wait a minute, I'm $500 short. How did I become because I messed up on that formula, right? So here we go. This is a dynamic formula, okay? Now, it's not the perfect way to add up these 4 numbers, but it's a start. Because now if I hit enter, do I get the same result? Yeah. However, did I reference any of those numbers in my formula? No. So do the numbers matter? No, the numbers don't matter. There's simply a value held in a cell that we're going to do something with. That's the key. The numbers do not matter. Now I get this, and this is called a dynamic. And dynamic is what, do you think? Good. Yes. So boys and girls, dynamic is good and static is very bad. We don't do no, yes, dynamic is good. Or as it was just mentioned, it's dynamite. Okay. Some of you are like, what? Go watch the... hey. Okay, we won't leave the other part because it's not politically correct anymore. Okay, there we are. So here's the difference. Watch the difference here. I'm going to change all the numbers. My 1 is going to become a 2. My 2 will become a 3. We'll keep this simple. And so for you critical thinkers in the room, then my 3 is becoming a 4. Ah, yes, and my 4 becomes a 7. We'll go with 5. We'll do this again. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Do you see a difference? See, when we do a value statically, we have to go back through and completely do this. So static is, we'll try this again. Static is, and dynamic is, okay, so we're going to do dynamic because the numbers don't matter. Now, are you ready for some real-life applications to this? Yes, sir. All right. So when we open up Excel, first of all, this area vertically is called a what? A column. It holds up the house. And this is called a row. Now, when we think of row is really easy to remember because a row represents a record. When we do Excel, it is best to do a record horizontally. A record includes everything about an element of data. So if I was to do a record on a student in this class, what kind of column headings might I have for a record of a student in this class? Name. Now, we need to start thinking about taking data that traditionally we think about coming together. We think about it together. If I say, give me your full name, my name is what? What's my full name? Anybody know? Eric Magnuson. But in Excel, I want to break that up to two different elements. Because if I want to search by Magnuson, and Eric is in front of it in a cell, I got to somehow write a very complex formula to say, get rid of the first thing till we come to a space, and then sort everything after that space. Whoa. Can we do that? Yes.
So you need to compartmentalize more.
Exactly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create not a first, but a first name. I got to sit down. So this is going to be first name. Then I'll do a last name. What else might I want?
Student ID.
What?
Student ID.
Student ID. Now, if I'm going to put your student ID into an Excel spreadsheet, I then better save it as a password encrypted document. Okay? Or else, if somebody else gets a hold of that, that's all it takes right there. First name, last name, and a unique identifier for me to have to report to the state of Oregon that we had a data breach. Somebody steals this file and I have that information, that's a data breach. What else do I want? What else would you want for a customer? Address. However, what kind of components are in an address?
Number.
And one other part, well, two other parts. So street number, right? And house number. And I want to break that all up into its smallest piece. So I'm going to have street number. Some databases go as far as street direction. What would that be? Southeast, northeast, southwest, right? And then finally, street name. And then what's at the end? What do we call that? Avenue, court, what is that? Street suffix. I think, is it? Yeah, I think it is. Street suffix. Now by breaking that all apart, I can search and sort by every single piece. Right? Would I ever want to sort by the street number though?
Why not?
I might.
You have more people than living in like one house.
Could be, yeah. It could be that but in that case, I'm probably going to sort by their street name and then by the last name, maybe. And then, of course, if we continue on with this, we need city, we need state, we need zip code. Then we start getting into particular information that's unique. GPA, right? Unique to that record. So rows, credit hours, are they on financial aid or not? All of these things that we would like to know.